Welcome back to another episode of Train for Life Fitness Podcast.
It is great to be back. And today we're tackling something that I think a lot of people either overlook or maybe just completely misunderstand. There's just so much noise out there.
Oh, absolutely. Today we are doing a deep dive into what is, well, it's essentially the secret weapon for anyone who is actually serious about their fitness. We're talking about protein. And before you roll your eyes and think, okay, great, another lecture on boiled chicken, just hold on. Because the source material we have today, a guide from Lët'z, it frames this so differently.
It really does.
It isn't just about food. It's about the specific fuel you need to grow stronger and, maybe more importantly, recover faster.
Exactly. And our mission for this deep dive is to move past all the, the bro science you hear in the gym.
Right, the guys shouting about gains.
Yeah. We want to understand the actual mechanics. So based on this source, we're going to look at how protein actually impacts muscle growth and recovery, the why behind it.
And here's the hook. And I promise you, sticking around for this is going to change how you look at your next meal. We're going to get into the specific math.
The numbers.
The numbers. Because it turns out the amount of protein you actually need might be way different than you think. And there's apparently a perfect time to eat it.
That's right. Timing is just as critical as quantity. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We should probably lay the foundation first.
Okay, let's do it. The guide starts with the mechanics. It talks about what happens when you actually, lift a weight. I think most people assume you're building muscle while you're working out.
That is such a common misconception, but it's the opposite. The source makes it really clear. The gym is where you do the damage.
The damage.
Every time you train, your muscles get these tiny microscopic tears.
Which, that sounds a little terrifying when you say it like that.
It does sound dramatic, but it's a completely normal process. In fact, that's the necessary trigger. That damage is the signal. It tells your body, hey, this was heavy. I need to be stronger for next time. But here's the catch, and this is where protein comes in. That adaptation can't happen without the right resources.
Right, and I love the analogy they use here. They call protein the repair crew.
It's a perfect visual, isn't it? Imagine your workout is like a storm that just passed through a construction site. The tiny tears, that's the damage to the building.
Okay.
Protein is the crew that shows up to patch things up. But they don't just patch it, they rebuild it bigger and better so it can withstand the next storm.
So what's actually happening on a biological level? I've heard the term synthesis thrown around.
You're spot on. So your body is always in this state of flux between two things. Muscle protein breakdown, that's the damage, and muscle protein synthesis, that's the building.
So kind of a battle.
Exactly. It's a tug of war. And for you to actually grow muscle, synthesis has to win. It has to be higher than breakdown. Without enough protein, you don't have the raw materials, the amino acids, to fuel that synthesis. You just lose the tug of war.
So let's play devil's advocate. What happens if you do the workout, you tear everything up, but you don't send in the repair crew?
Then the crew never shows up. Or, maybe one guy shows up and he's exhausted. The source is really clear on the consequences here. Your recovery takes way longer. You're not just sore, you're deeply fatigued.
And it says your muscle loss can even happen. That seems so counterintuitive, that working out could actually make you lose muscle.
Precisely. It's a state called catabolism. So instead of growth, you get stagnation. Or you even go backwards. You're doing all the hard work in the gym, but none of the rebuilding. Your progress just stalls.
That makes so much sense. It's like demolishing a house and then just leaving the rubble there because you forgot to order bricks.
That is a great way to put it. You're left with a mess, not a mansion.
Okay, so let's talk about that rebuilding. The source uses a specific term. Hypertrophy. I feel like I see this word everywhere on social media.
Yes, hypertrophy. It sounds technical, but really it just means muscle expansion. It's the goal for most people lifting weights. And the source explains that for muscles to grow bigger, they need that consistent supply of protein to repair and expand.
And there's a formula, right? It's not just magic.
No magic, just biology. The formula is simple. Regular strength training plus a steady protein intake equals faster growth. You take one of those out of the equation,
and it just doesn't work.
The reaction doesn't happen.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting for me. What about people who aren't trying to get huge? The listeners who are maybe trying to lose weight, doing a cut, they might think, I should eat less of everything, including protein, because I need a calorie deficit.
That is such a dangerous trap, and the source addresses this specifically. This is probably the most valuable insight for people who are dieting. When you cut calories, your body is looking for energy. It's desperate for fuel.
And you want it to burn fat.
Ideally, yes. But here's the evolutionary kicker. Muscle is expensive tissue for the body to maintain.
Expensive, like it costs a lot of energy.
Exactly. It's metabolically active. It burns calories just existing. Fat, on the other hand, is just storage. It's cheap. So when your body thinks it's in a survival situation, which is what a diet is, it wants to get rid of the expensive stuff first.
So it actually eats your gains to save energy.
Yeah.
That is incredibly frustrating.
It is. It's cannibalizing the muscle you worked so hard for. But the guide explains that eating enough protein creates a protective mechanism. It prevents this. So if you're in a deficit, protein becomes even more critical.
Wow.
It signals to the body, hey, we're using this muscle, keep it around, go burn the fat instead.
That is a huge aha moment. You needed to build, but you also needed just to keep what you have. It's like an insurance policy for your muscles.
Exactly, an insurance policy.
Right.
And it keeps your metabolism high, because remember, that muscle helps you burn more calories even when you're resting.
Okay, let's shift to the next pillar in the guide. Recovery. We touched on the repair crew, but this goes deeper because, let's be honest, sometimes you just want to be able to walk up the stairs the next day.
Right. We focus on the visual, but the speed of repair is so crucial. The source notes protein helps muscles recover quicker.
And who doesn't want that?
Yeah.
We've all had that deep ache after a leg day where you drop a pen and just stare at it.
Oh yeah, DOMS. Delayed onset muscle soreness. The source explicitly mentions that deep ache. It notes that being efficient with your protein can really ease that soreness. If the repair crew is well stocked, the construction noise just stops sooner.
So what's the so what factor here for the listener?
Performance. It all comes down to performance. Faster recovery means you can train harder and more often. If you're sore for 4 days, you can't train well until day 5.
Sure.
If protein helps you recover in 2 days, you're literally getting twice the training stimulus over time. That leads to much, much better long-term results.
It's the difference between living into the gym and strutting in.
Precisely. You're just ready to go again sooner.
Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty. I promise the math, and this is where people get lost. Is there a standard, a magic number?
It can be so confusing because there is no magic number. One size does not fit all. The source really emphasizes personalization. It all depends on your goals and how active you are.
Right.
That recommended daily allowance you see online, that's just the bare minimum to not get sick. It's not optimal for an athlete.
So let's break down the stats from the text. I want you to be able to picture where you might fit in.
All right, get your mental calculators ready. The guide has 4 categories. First, for general health, this is your baseline. The recommendation is 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight.
Okay, 0.8 grams. But that's for someone who isn't really training hard, right? That's the baseline.
Correct. Now, for active lifestyles, you run, play sports, you move a lot, that number jumps up. It's a range of 1.2 to 2.0 grams per kilogram.
That's a pretty big jump already, almost double.
It is. But then we get to building muscle. For hypertrophy, the guide recommends 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilogram.
Okay, up to 2.2 grams if you're really trying to grow.
And here's the really fascinating part. The final category is losing fat while keeping muscle. The recommendation is 1.8 to 2.2 grams per kilogram.
Wait a second, that's just as high, if not higher on the low end, than the muscle building category.
Yes. And that goes right back to that protective mechanism. When you're restricting calories, your risk of losing muscle is higher, so your protein needs to be aggressively high to fight that.
That is so counterintuitive. People think dieting means less of everything.
It's a critical distinction. You lower carbs, maybe lower fats, but you keep the protein high.
Let's make this real. The source gives an example. Let's say we have a listener, Leo.
Yeah.
He weighs 75 kilograms, so about 165 pounds, and he wants to build muscle.
Okay, for a 75-kilogram person with that goal, the math says his target is somewhere between 120 and 165 grams of protein every day.
120 to 165 grams. When you actually look at food, that's a lot. That's not just, I had an egg for breakfast.
Definitely not. A standard chicken breast is maybe 30 grams of protein. So Leo needs to eat the equivalent of 4 to 5 chicken breasts a day.
Wow. When you put it like that, that requires a conscious effort. You don't accidentally eat 165 grams of protein.
You really don't. It's not accidental.
Which brings us perfectly to strategy, because I don't think I can eat all that in one sitting.
You definitely shouldn't try. And the source advises against it. This section is all about timing. Your body isn't a dump truck. It's more like a conveyor belt.
The guide mentions something called the golden hour. What's that about?
It refers to the first hour right after your workout. The text says your muscles are primed to soak up nutrients during this window.
So that's when you rush the repair crew in.
Exactly. The gates are wide open. If you wait 5 hours, you've missed the peak efficiency for that absorption. It's not that it won't work later, but it works best then.
But what about eating it all at once? My snake meal approach.
The guide says to spread it out. The strategy is to split that target across 3 to 6 meals during the day.
And why is that better?
It's about keeping that synthesis signal turned on. It's a drip feed versus a flood. Your body can only process so much at once, maybe 30 or 40 grams in a sitting. By spreading it out, you keep a steady supply of those building blocks available all day.
Yeah, there was one specific tip I thought was really cool. It's about what to do while you're asleep.
Right, because that's when a lot of the heavy lifting of recovery actually happens. The text suggests a bedtime strategy. It recommends a slow-digesting protein like casein before you go to sleep.
Casein, that's in dairy, right? Like cottage cheese.
Exactly. Unlike whey protein, which hits your system fast, casein clots up and breaks down slowly over hours. It supports muscle repair all through the night.
It's like putting a slow-burning log on the fire before bed, so it's still warm in the morning.
That is the perfect analogy. It keeps the fire of synthesis going.
Okay, we've covered the good stuff. But we have to talk about where people mess this up. The source lists some common pitfalls, and honestly, I think I'm guilty of at least 2 of them.
They're common for a reason. And the number one mistake listed is simply undereating.
Just guessing.
Underestimating. They think they're eating high protein, but if they actually tracked it against the numbers we discussed, they're falling way short. They aren't matching their intake to their goals.
I see that all the time. Someone has a yogurt and thinks they're done, but they've only hit like 10% of their target.
Right. And that leads to the second pitfall, real food versus powders.
The source has some great imagery here. Eggs, fish, chicken, nuts.
Yes. The text says shakes are handy, especially for that golden hour, but the advice is clear. Don't rely on them entirely. You shouldn't be living off 3 shakes a day.
Why not? I mean, protein is protein, isn't it?
Well, whole foods have so many other nutrients, vitamins, minerals, but there's also something called the thermic effect of food.
The what?
Your body burns energy just digesting food. And protein has a high thermic effect. It has to work hard to break down a chicken breast.
Whereas a liquid shake just
Glides right through. Very little thermic effect. Plus, whole foods just keep you fuller for longer.
That's a great point. And the third mistake.
Timing failures. We talked about this, but bears repeating. Skipping protein post-workout or going long periods without eating, it just slows everything down. It's like giving the construction crew a 6-hour lunch break. Nothing gets built.
And we want to be building 247.
Always. Consistency is the name of the game.
So if we pull back and look at the big picture here, what's the main takeaway?
The conclusion from the source is powerful. Protein is your biggest ally. It's the fundamental tool for building muscle and speeding up recovery. But the keys are consistency and correct timing. You can't just do it on Tuesdays and expect results.
And I love how the source material wraps this up with their brand philosophy from Lët'z.
Yes, they really emphasize that nutrition and training go hand in hand. They mentioned their personalized fitness plans, which is exactly what we said about the math being different for everyone.
It's about finding what works for you. Leo needs 165 grams, but someone else might need 100 or 200.
Exactly. And I love the final motivational thought they leave us with. It's a mindset shift. They say, ready to transform your fitness journey, let's do it. Because once a lion, always a lion.
Once a lion, always a lion. I love that. It really frames this not as a chore, but as, well, literally fueling the beast.
It connects the discipline of nutrition to the pride of the result. It's very motivating. You're not just eating, you're fueling the lion.
It definitely makes me want to go check my macros for the day. I think I'm a little behind after this conversation.
As you should. Go find some cottage cheese.
Well, there you have it. The secret weapon isn't a secret anymore. It's protein, it's math, and it's timing.
Simple, but not always easy. But now you have the playbook.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, and in the meantime, let's roar.